You're listening to Money FM 89.3. I'm Chua Tian Tian with your market view. Now, today we are going to be talking all about non fungible tokens, or rather, digital art and collectibles recorded on blockchains. The trading volumes in non fungible tokens, or NFTs for short, have tumbled some 97% from a record high in January this year as part of a wipeout in the crypto sector. Data from Dune Analytics suggests that monthly NFT trading volume stood at around 466 million US dollars in September compared to a whopping 17 billion US dollars at the start of this year. Now, despite the ongoing headwinds in the NFT scene, one company making toy collectibles believe that opportunities do exist in the industry. And the key is to mix digital assets like NFTs with real life privileges that benefits us in our reality. Now, I've got to say that this topic sounds very complex. So we've got to find out more from the company, Mighty Jacks. Mighty Jacks is a physical collectibles manufacturer and designer and have ventured into the NFT scene of late. Daryl Tan, head of Meta at Mighty Jacks, joins us on the line. Hi, Daryl. How are you?
Hi, Tian Tian. Doing well. How about yourself?
Doing great as well. And thanks for joining us. So, Daryl, before we start the interview proper, tell us a little bit more about Mighty Jacks. I understand the company started out making toy collectibles before venturing into NFT. So, tell us a little bit about that transition.
Yeah, so I think as you rightly pointed out, Mighty Jacks is a collectibles company, right? We've been around for coming to a decade now. The company started making physical collectibles or toys, as you put it, right? And we've collaborated with many different artists and IPs, the likes of Universal, Hasbro, Paramount, to name a few. In the physical collectibles business, it is super important for collectors to be able to prove that they have an authentic piece of artwork, right? And I think this is why Mighty Jacks kind of moved and became a pioneer into digital COAs and basically listing out our COAs on the blockchain. And that's kind of how we stumbled into blockchains and NFTs in 2019. And as you kind of rightly put it, it started off as something that is very much attached to a physical object. But now we're moving to kind of focusing on digital collectibles first, and in some cases, digital collectibles only.
We've heard about how it's protected by blockchain, but it is a very trendy term. What exactly do NFTs mean?
Yeah, I think you've mentioned it as well. NFT is actually an acronym, right? Non-fungible tokens. It is on the blockchain, and that means that it's kind of transparent to users, right? You can use tools like Polygon Scan or Etherscan depending on the blockchain that you're on, and you can see the provenance of an NFT, right, or an artwork, which wallet it has been to, how many times the goods or the token has changed hands, and it really brings kind of transparency into the hands of consumers, right? I think one kind of good way to put it, if you put aside technology for a moment, think of NFT as like a proof of ownership, right? So similar to how you have a title deed of a house as a piece of document that shows you own a house, NFT is a kind of a fancy technology wrapper towards owning digital assets. But it is the cornerstone for everything that is Web3, decentralization, metaverse, the whole lot right now. Yeah.
Right. And Daryl, what is the value of holding NFTs as a form of investment then? I've been trying to, wrap my head around this. Why are they at one point so hotly traded? Is it a piece of art, or is it that is driving up the value? If not, what are the other factors that are pushing up prices? I've once heard from a friend that NFTs are likened to country club. It's not about the piece of art, it's the benefits around it that matters. So tell us a little bit more about your take on this.
Yeah, so I think what you're talking about is this term called utilities, right? So when you buy, there are some people who buy into NFT for the promise of utility. So for example, when you bought into a Adidas NFT collection earlier in the year, you could burn your NFT to obtain a set of physical products that was exclusive, to the NFT holders, right? And that is something that's kind of one of the reasons why people buy NFTs, for the exclusivity and this promise of utility, right? It's something that we've also dabbled with a little bit, because we have all these physical collectibles. Some of them are hyper limited, right? So we have launched NFTs where it's something that gives holders the exclusive rights to purchase, let's say, a particular figurine. In terms of like what drives the price of NFTs, it's really kind of similar to it's kind of basic economics of like supply and demand, right? So apart from utility, some people actually buy NFTs more in terms of participating in the community aspect of things. So that there is a noteworthy Singapore project that is up and coming, ARC, that JJ Lin is a part of that community as well, and Mighty Jacks is a close collaborator in that as well, right? So they are bringing together different people, different contributors, whether you're in the gaming scene, whether you're in the collectible scene, in the entertainment scene, and actually seeing what interesting collaborations can come out of that, right? Yeah, I mean, so I think that the last part here is really just thinking in terms of the why people would demand certain NFTs, right? So apart from the utility as well as the community aspects, there are some very exciting things that people are passionate about, right? Whether it's in the entertainment or music scene, right? So these are also things that we're looking to bring exciting content and digital collectibles that fans would demand because they are fans of the IP. So for us, I think we feel like the true way to hold value is really if there's kind of some form of community utility and appeal and demand from the fans, right? That is the only way to have sustainable growth in the NFT price over time.
Right. So appeal and demand, the first one. The second one is utility, and the third one is being part of a community, right? So three very big important points. That being said, Darryl, we've seen the recent interest rate hikes by the Federal Reserve in the US, prompting a sell-off in riskier assets, and that includes NFTs as well. NFT trading volumes have dropped by 97% from a record high in January. As an industry player, how concerned you are about this trend?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a age-old adage, right? The bear market is a great time to build, and so I think for us it's the same, right? I think we're here for the long game, and
Right.
I think one of the great parts also is that we're not a pure Web3 business, right? We have a great profitable business in the physical collectible space as well, that we believe is super complementary for us, right? And it's positioning us in a way that's very unique to other pure Web3 players in the space as well. So, for us, like the focus primarily is to ensure that we put together the right infrastructure that allows us to better serve our consumers, right? So whether it's very, very niche, collectors, or it's more of the mainstream consumer side of things, right? Some of these infrastructure choices, including like the ability to accept credit card payments, finding new ways to display digital collectibles in digital frames, and empowering both digital and physical experiences, right, in the metaverse and in the real world. So for us, it's really about building, and obviously we're continuing to work with very strong entertainment IPs and artists that we've collaborated with in the past, right? In physical collectible collaborations, but we're also working with exciting new artists in the Web3 space as well, right? We're finding ways to serve our fans in a way that continues to capture their imagination in both digital collectibles and experiences.
Right, so if you're just tuning in, we're now speaking to Darryl Tan, head of Meta at Mighty Jacks, all about NFTs here. As we mentioned in our introduction, Darryl, Mighty Jacks believe that there are opportunities in the NFT scene. The key lies in mixing NFTs with real-life privileges. So what do you mean by that?
Yeah, I mean, real-life privileges is, I think we discussed this earlier in the call, right? In terms of like utilities. And I think what we're looking at is utilities that we can get that are real and tangible and enduring, right? So one of the examples that we are actually doing is we actually forayed into NFT ticketing quite recently with a collaboration with Singapore Comic-Con. It's basically an event that's happening in December this year that brings together a bunch of collectors in the comic industries, right? So cosplayers and people who are passionate about DC, Marvel, and the like, right? So instead of like traditional ticketing that gives you like one-time access to the conference, we basically built like an entire experience around Comic-Con, right? From exclusive early entry, accelerated lines for artist signatures, bundled physical collectibles, digital collectibles, and even F&B perks, right? So that's kind of one way that we're looking at it. And obviously holding an NFT also gives you access to discounted entry for the following 2 years of SGCC as well. So again, this is like very, very initial, and there are actually more perks that we're planning post the event as well. I think apart from SGCC, there are also some other really exciting IPs that we're collaborating with. One of the largest streaming players in the world. I can't talk too much about it, but it's very, very exciting that we're bringing this top tier IP and experience into the Southeast Asian market as well, using NFT ticketing.
Right, exciting days indeed. So, question is, by blending physical and digital collectibles at Mighty Jacks, how do you think that will make the NFT asset more resilient against volatilities?
Yeah, at the end of the day, I think we're here to serve our fans, right? And we really listen to what they want. So whether it is a pure physical collectibles, which I think there's still a high demand for, pure digital collectibles, which I think is up and coming, or a hybrid digital collectibles, right? It's really what the fans want. So we believe at the end of the day, like when we work with the right artists and the right entertainment IPs to launch these collectibles, there will be strong demand in the market, and the demand would then provide a support for the pricing of the collectibles.
And going forward, Daryl, what are some key trends in the NFT scene that we should be aware of? And also, what are the headwinds ahead, for instance, like regulatory hurdles and all that, that you foresee will come to you in the short and medium term?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, like I think two questions, right? One is the key trends, and the other one is the regulatory hurdles, right? I'll talk about the trends first.
Mm.
I think at the end of the day, like standalone digital assets have a part in the ecosystem, and digital assets have a part in the ecosystem as well. And I think both of them are going to grow, and it's going to be very exciting, right? But generally, I think one of the key trends to watch is really how can digital assets and digital assets become more accessible to mainstream consumers, right? So in that, I feel like for the broader mainstream consumers, the touch and feel of things, the tangible aspect of things are super important. And then making sure that accessibility, so that if I want to buy a digital asset, whether it's Minions or it's Back to the Future, any of these exciting IPs, I'm buying it, and I shouldn't have to understand crypto assets or currencies or bridging of currencies between wallets like that. That's too complicated, right? And I think there's going to be a huge proliferation of these tools that will help, basically make accessibility and mainstream adoption easier.
Right.
To your second question on regulatory hurdles, I think we're really at a very nascent stage for NFTs, right? And
Yeah.
similar to all asset classes, there will likely be stricter regulations going forward, just because of the amount of attention, the amount of money that consumers are putting into it. But I feel like the key headwinds actually are not on the regulatory side. I think it's really about picking the right IPs, picking the right artists that we're working with, right, and making sure that we're doing things right by our fans, right, and fans of the artists that we're collaborating with, right. As long as you build the foundation for the fans to be able to leverage the Web3 technology and to be able to experience the full continuum of it, right, whether it's collecting physical collectibles, going to a physical real life experience, or continuing this experience at home in the metaverse, all on a platform that is Mightyverse, right. I think that's kind of what it is all about.
Right, very exciting days indeed. So before we let you go, Daryl, any future plans for Mighty Jacks that you would like to share with us?
Yeah, no, I think that there are a couple of very exciting experiences that we have. SGCC being the key one that's happening in December, right? And there are a couple of digital collectibles as well as physical collectibles, digital collectible launches as well in the upcoming months. So check us out at mightymeta.world, and I think it's really about tracking all these different exciting projects and being a part of it that makes us excited.
Right, sounds very exciting, especially for comic fans. Thank you very much, Daryl. That was Daryl Tan, head of Meta at Mighty Jacks. Thanks for joining us here on Money FM 89.3.
Money FM 89.3.